today's lesson, we will explore the intricate web of emotional manipulation and possession. And I hope to shed light on the dynamics that lead an individual towards becoming the victim. Okay, that is the foundation of this video. So I will utilize this book, a study on psychotherapy with the schizoid character and the psychopath to support this video. Now, to jump right into this, what is emotional manipulation? We can look at three different things. This is exploitation, control, and influence. So the way that a person does this, they first take on this behavior which influences them to do this to another person. But the key magic in their tactic is the use of their language and the way that they can just make language appear out of thin air and create a story with this, elaborate sentence that will induce emotions, which will kind of distort an individual who isn't as grounded in their sense of self. So we can look at this person and try and understand why they do what they do and what their motives are, but that doesn't help us with who we are. That doesn't help us in our scenario. That just allows us to point the finger and say, you're doing this to me. No, it doesn't even, it's kind of irrelevant for this video. I'll do a whole nother video on the tactics of the perpetrator, you could say. So for this video, we have to understand us. You have to understand you and how you've gotten to this place. Okay, there's many layers to it. And I always feel as though when we know ourselves, we can see others in their light and not have to attack them for the way that they are, but just see them as they are and take a step back and say, okay, I'm going to be right here and do what I need to do and continue on a different path, because that's the mature thing to do. I don't need to add to war. So understanding you and where you are at right now, that's what the rest of this video will be on. So there's three different case studies that I want to bring forward, and that is the emotionally ill person, the primitive individual, and the child who is sick. If we look at each one of these cases, we will find a common denominator. First, looking at an emotionally ill person, I don't want you to associate yourself to any of these, or I should say identify and label yourself as any of these, but I simply want to bring in the energies which they produce. And when you can get a feel for their psychological state, then you can understand what you are doing right now in your place. Okay, so if you look at the emotionally ill person, this is someone who has, an eating disorder, anxiety, depression. They are completely split off from their reality. They are disassociated from reality. That's the first thing. And when you're disassociated from reality, what do? Naturally, a lot of individuals will go to a psychiatrist and they'll say, please give me this magic potion that's going to heal me and make me feel better. Give me this magic pill that's going to tranquilize me into a place of numbing out of what is actually, what I'm actually experiencing. And once that falls away, you're either craving for more, a higher dosage, or you are going to fall into a deeper state of whatever that is, whether it's higher anxiety, a deeper depression, your eating disorder goes completely out of hand and you continue, your binge cycle again, whatever the emotional, illness may be, it'll be heavier on you. However, we can look at this person who is just craving, crying, hoping that this psychiatrist who has the magic potion is going to fix and take away the psychological state of distortion in a way and try and bring them back to reality, but it's a false sense of reality. So we can look at that as the first case. The second case is looking at the primitive people. Now, this is so interesting because when we go back to hunter and gatherers or the primitive, epoch, you can see that they heavily relied on Mother Nature and on the mystics of their time, on the seers, to um, really give them a sense of, security and who they were. They identified with land, and if land wasn't doing good, then they weren't doing good. If, their people, if there was a disconnect with people, then there was a bewitchment involved in the society. It's quite fascinating. I really love studying about the mother, um, the mother patriarchy, what's it called? The matriarchy. I love learning about that. So when I came to understand that primitive people, they would give themselves away to this seer or to this mystic whenever they felt a sense of discord, whenever they felt anxiety, because to them, what that experience was a malevolent force coming in them and taking over them. And so they felt like, because they weren't right with their feelings, because they weren't right in the mind, because they weren't connected to their body, then they were taken over by this, demonic force. And what they would do is they would go to the seer or the mystic for that magic potion to be healed or to be saved. And so they believed everything that this person would tell them. Any kind of change in their life, this primitive individual would just go with it. They didn't have like that rational, the frontal lobe developed to the extent that we do yet, because it wasn't at that time. So they just allowed, a person who was of higher authority to do that for them. And they just gave themselves away. So it was a surrendering and a releasing of the ego and allowing this other force who had magic powers to sway them. Okay, and then for the third case, we have a sick child. When a child is sick, think about when you were a baby or 5 or 6 years old and you were laying in bed and you had the aches and the pains and your whole body was just excruciating. It felt, kind of like a sense of death. You were so scared and you just felt terrible. So, what do you naturally do as a child? You call for mommy or daddy, caregiver. You call for them to take it away, take the pain away, take this possession away from me. And again, the child and the primitive are so deeply connected because they're in this state that is so vulnerable. And they're trying to, understand how they feel again, but they can't because they're in this distorted state. But as well, the emotionally ill person, they're just so disconnected from reality that they don't know what is. So if we look at the common denominator between the three of these, we can see that, the foundation of this resides within the ego, and the ego surrendering and submitting to this authoritative power because they have the answers, they have the antidote, they have the cure for our problems. But in this case, when we're surrendering the ego and we're giving ourselves away to this higher power, there's like the foundation of this is that there's no sense of self. This person has, a small sense of self. They are disconnected from what they feel, and they are caught in the distortions of their reality. In this place, and how we can regain from this emotional manipulation and take ourselves away from giving ourselves to these, I'm thinking about the archetypes, this magical or the snake oil salesman. We have to take ourselves away from giving ourselves up to these higher powers and reclaim our sense of self. Because here's the thing, who you are as an individual is not like anyone else. So yes, develop your ego. Have a strong and grounded developed ego that is connected to the reality of what is. So the distortions with your, the anxiety and the depression and the eating disorder, like looking at those things so that you can develop a stronger ego. Let that be the resistance that you have to come against, that you have to go to war with, and you have to understand so that you can develop a strong sense of self. And in that, learning to be honest and connect with the body of what produces the feeling states, because what you feel matters and what you are experiencing is so important. Emotional manipulation, um, the the I'm getting really energized in this, because emotional manipulation is when this individual, who likely has no clue of what they're doing to you or to the extreme that they are taking you through, this individual is causing you to constantly question yourself, to deny what you feel, to change your life because what they think is better. No, do not give yourself away to these powers or to this hierarchical force that is outside of you. Learn you, learn about yourself, develop that strong ego, connect to your body, and start to shake up and shift your perspective on the reality that is happening to you right now. If you don't feel safe, honor that. If you feel as though you are diminishing what you feel, honor that. If you get a little sense that someone is potentially trying to sway you towards a direction that is not authentically yours, and you still love them and you're kind of like, "Oh, but this person, they're giving this to me." Please, I invite you to pull out of it. Okay? I wanted to go over those 3 different case studies because I want you to not identify with them, but just see the energies that they carry and see if you associate or if you can resonate with that in your life right now. Okay, look back at those. Look at the sick child, the primitive, and the emotionally ill person. And look at these. Identify the energies which they carry and see if you feel that at all. And if you do feel that, then again, what you'll have to do, the finishing cherry on top to this video, is look at developing a strong ego, one that is connected to the reality of what is and attuned to the feelings which you feel, which you sense, which you experience. I hope this video has supported you. Comment below how you experience this, and I will see you in my next video. And just before I go, in my next video, I want to give you strategies that you can use in this situation. So whether you're trying to stay in the relationship with this person who is doing the manipulating, or whether you are just trying to develop a stronger sense of self so that it doesn't happen to you again in this now time, that is what I hope to bring forward to you in the next video. I didn't want to leave this out. I wanted to share this with you because I don't want to leave you hanging on simply this excitement of acknowledging the place that you were once in. And I want to continue it to give you a set direction on where it is that you will go and the way that you can cultivate more of that sense of self. So that's all I have for you. Enjoy your day, and I will see you soon.